Welcome to Uncommon Courtesy.
We give you the courtesy of conversation.
That's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac.
I'm Wesley.
And this is the show. So today, the Supreme Court was hearing both sides of Donald Trump's presidential immunity claims. And so in the claims, he's basically saying, whatever crimes I committed while I was in office, I shouldn't have to be in trouble for them because I should have presidential immunity. And so they were going back and forth, and, they're not done deliberating. They're probably going to come back tomorrow. No, they're probably not going to come back tomorrow. I don't know how that works. They might.
I know that they were running into a few issues. I know people had talked about today, I guess, two of the justices, which is Clarence Thomas and Alito. Both of those two have been kind of waffling on this whole thing, like not really sticking to the conservative code. The conservative code in the Supreme Court has always been, we want to stick to the case that's in front of us. We want to deal with the facts that are right here in front of us. We don't want to hear, outside noise. We don't want to hear the emotional side of the argument. We want to stick to the analytical side of the argument. But now I guess they're trying to bring in emotional facts.
Well, they had a couple arguments. They said one of Trump's lawyer, John D. Saar, hope I pronounced his name incorrectly, painted a dire picture of presidents facing, Donald Trump facing a de facto blackmail and extortion by his political rivals while he's still in office. And because of the threat of future prosecution without the immunity the former president is seeking. So he's feeling like, if you don't give me immunity, basically he's going to go to jail. That's all I read out of that.
So he's saying that I don't run a perfect presidency, anyone doesn't run a perfect presidency, later on someone can come back and say, hey, you did this. Yeah. And this is against the law. But this has never happened before.
And then Michael Dreeben, arguing on behalf of special counsel Jack Smith, said that absolute immunity sought by Trump would immunize the former president from criminal liability for bribery, treason, sedition, murder, and here conspiring to use fraud to overturn the results of an election and keep himself in power. I mean, why should you have immunity from trying to overthrow the U.S. government?
I mean, let's think about it like this. If this was ever, if the president was ever meant to have immunity, why was Nixon impeached and kicked out of office?
Yep, Bill Clinton.
He was about to be he was going to be criminally prosecuted. I think it was Ford, which was his vice president, who became president, is the one who pardoned him because of that. He had to pardon him because of
remember Bill Clinton, he got he was impeached too because he got a little guap in office.
And so, but that's not even being criminal, but that's just saying, why do we have impeachments then if this person's supposed to have immunity? Like, that doesn't even make sense what he's saying. So a president should basically be a dictator and be able to do whatever they want to do with impunity and get away with it.
Well, I mean, and that's the whole thing. Like, the people that created America, the founding fathers, as you say, that's why they created a constitution. Yes, that's why they created the Constitution, though, because they just left the rule of a king. And they said, we're not going to have kings. So they had that where you had the Constitution and they had separation of church and state because they knew religious radicals. And this is what's happening right now. We're dealing with religious radicals trying to take over the government. That's why they're banning abortion. That's why they're making it so you can't vote, because their views as Republicans aren't popular views. In your state, it's cool, but a nationwide view, it's not a popular view.
How is Clarence Thomas even still sitting for this want to call it a trial, or want to just this hearing or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, it's just like
even on there. His wife was a part of this whole entire January 6th debacle. He's proven that he has a very much affinity for Donald Trump and the MAGA kind of wing of that party. And
who's going to make him step down? That's the whole thing.
Exactly.
You're Supreme Court justice, and nobody, you could do something vile, and they're going to be like, you should step down, and they'd be like, no.
Appointment. I've never heard of one. There's probably some time in history, but I've never heard of one happen to. Okay, you look at it like this: you got Alito and you have Clarence Thomas. That's two of the six. There's 6 conservative justices on the Supreme Court. Then you got there's 3 other ones. I don't know all their names that Trump put into office. I know it's one of them's a woman, and there's two other guys.
There's Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, yeah.
The one lady, she wasn't even a lawyer. She never tried a case, and they just put her in there.
Yeah, and then there's another guy too. But I mean, so that gives him 5. That's a 5-4 right there. If these 2 guys go along with it, he gets his 3 that he put in. That's 5-4.
I mean, but that's on their line too. Someone said, what stops him? What stops him? You give him immunity, he becomes back president, right? What stops him? He don't like your ruling, so he sends assassins to go kill you, and no one can do nothing because the president has immunity.
Immunity. I mean, it's crazy to me. It's like an argument that doesn't even make sense.
Yes,
it just doesn't make sense. So I should be able to do whatever I want.
And people and the people that were around Donald Trump knew if his power went unchecked, it would be bad. And so that's why Mike Pence certified the election. He knew. He believed in the Constitution because he knows Donald Trump, to me, I ain't got nothing personal wrong with the guy. I mean, he ain't done nothing personally to me, but he's a live wire. He's not an intelligent man.
At all.
He didn't run the country good.
I mean, you look at most of the people who he actually put into power.
I give him the American First stuff without the racism. I understand that. He's like, why are we giving all these countries all this money? He's like, they should be giving us money for protection. And I'm like, Teflon Don, you're right.
At the end of the day, we have to. I mean, I don't agree with him on that at all. I think it makes sense. It's not about just giving money. It's about understanding your power. When you're the boss, you got to act like a boss acts. You have to be able to protect certain things. We're in that position of power. That position of power has given us wealth, has given us access to everything we want. Amy Coney Barrett or something like that.
Yeah, and she had never tried a case. She was never a judge before. They just put her in there, and she follows some like kind of radical group also.
Yeah, she's pretty conservative. She's like almost like the Children of the Corn conservative type looking woman. But hey, hopefully she.
But Democrats can't be mad. They need to be mad at themselves. You had a chance to stop it. You didn't because you're too full of yourself. And you're standing up on your soapbox. Oh, I'm not going to vote for Hillary because you wanted to be the person to say, well, I didn't vote for her anyways because you thought she was going to win. She lost most of them states by 15,000 votes each. Those are your protest votes. Now you got to be upset because now they're taking away women's rights. They're about to take away our freedom of speech and everything else. And this is what you get. Either put up or shut up. Democrats always want this perfect candidate. Like you have to be perfect. Oh, you mess up, you need to go. And Republicans don't care. Remember, we were talking about dude from Alabama. Yep. He was a known child predator. Yep. And I told my partner here that, as a gift, the RNC sent him a little girl to interview him at one of his campaign stops. Then he disappeared for a couple of days and they couldn't find him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I look at
Matt Gaetz. They got evidence of him messing with underage girls, but they don't care as long as they stay in power. But y'all want this perfect person that doesn't exist.
He's one of the top dogs over there too, and they still haven't done anything about it. I think that his Kevin McCarthy even called him out on that. He was like, there was evidence of you messing with underage girls. He said it go look it up.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Kevin McCarthy was House Speaker for the Republican Party before they all usurped him. Kicked him out of there, got rid of him, and brought in Mike Johnson. And so now
they're trying to get rid of Mike Johnson.
Yeah, they're trying to get rid of Mike Johnson because he's not conservative enough, because he's doing exactly what America's supposed to do.
Function.
Which is protect their allies, protect their interests. That's what you're really doing. You look at things like you're protecting your interests around the world. You lose certain access to certain things like the South China Sea. That's what that had. I think 60% or 70% of the world's oil and some of the world's trade goes through the South China Sea. You lose access to that by not giving money to Taiwan, not helping out the Philippines, not stepping in with Japan. This is what they're talking. We don't see the actual ramifications of what goes on. We don't understand that what sanctions do to countries like Iran right now. They have 40% inflation. We're talking about, we had during some of the worst times during COVID, we had 9-10% inflation. We were crying. We're crying about 4 and 5% inflation right now. They got 40%. Their meat went up. The meat that they buy at their grocery store has gone up by 3 times. You know what I mean? 3 times what it cost before. Like, we don't understand the ramifications, what comes from our actions of not doing things that we don't see every day.
And people don't get it either, that our freedoms come at a price to other people, other countries. Absolutely. That's why you have so many immigrants fleeing from other countries, because we're stepping on them to keep what we have.
You know what the greatest point this person made one time? It was a girl. She was from Europe, and she was talking to a guy. He was from some country in Africa, and she was like, "I don't want your people coming to my country and living here and taking our stuff and this, that, and the third." He's like, "Well, you guys came to our country and stole our stuff." She was like, well, that was before. We're talking about right now. He said, well, imagine this. If a thief comes to my house and steals my TV, shouldn't I be able to go over to his house and watch the TV at his house? And I was like, that's a cold point for a person to make. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty much what has happened in this world here. That's why you're getting a flight to immigrate to these other countries. It's like you're reaping what you sow. Your chicken's coming home to roost. That's just pretty much what this is.
The UK ain't having it because the UK just approved a controversial legislation last Tuesday that allows the government to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda with deportation flights expected to start this summer. Now think about it. European countries have caused a lot of conflict in other countries. But, and so that's why even here in America, we have so many people fleeing the South America, because we're going down there messing stuff up and making these areas where they're just poor. And the people are like, well, I want to go to America. I want to go to Britain because it looks nice. It looks like the promised land. And now these people are filling in there. And now you're upset. If you didn't want immigrants in your country, you should be telling your legislators to send money and aid to these other countries.
Send back the stuff you stole from them.
Yeah.
Send back all the diamonds and all the gold and all
it's like
everything else. You're reaping. You look at a person like Elon Musk. He's pretty much from Britain, but they say he's a South African. But those people came from that country there. That's where they're originally from. And so these people have set up shop in these other countries and created a vacuum where they're the ones making most of the money there. They have all the old money at the end of the day. And so this is pretty much what's happened. But even with that factor, what you're saying, what they've said is in Britain is this. They don't want people to say, because most of the people who are coming over there who are from Rwanda are coming from France. So what they're saying is if you're coming from a safe country, you can't come here.
Yeah.
But if you're coming from a country that's not safe, then it's okay. But that's kind of what they're saying with this law, So they're not like just saying we don't want you here at all, which they're probably, deep down.
They don't want them there. Just like here in America, like, and for me, it's like, I'm cool. If you want to take all the immigrants and get them out, that's cool, but you got to get them all. Just don't get the ones from South America. Get them all.
I'm like,
all of them.
What would we not want immigrants in our country for?
Why do we need them in here?
What? Are you serious, man? Like,
I mean, I can understand.
Like a lot of us are all immigrants. I'm not gonna say we don't know exactly where we're from, but most.
No, my people was here before all that.
Okay, but most people who are here in this country are immigrants. We already have a declining birth rate. We really are not even bringing enough people to replace the amount of people.
You know why the birth rate is declining in America? Because people coming up in age know they can't afford the kids.
No,
you sat there and watched your mom and your dad struggle to raise you, and now you're looking at prices where you can't. You got to work 2 hours just to afford a meal at McDonald's.
That's on us too, though. Everything we have to look at has to be on the people because we have voting power. We can vote about these things, but we cannot afford a declining birth rate. China has one to the point to where they're having to worry about, can I afford to go to war?
Man, it's $800 a week for childcare out here. I ain't having no baby. Pull out game strong.
We were one vote away, which was Joe Manchin, away from having to. I think where women were going to get $300 per kid per month. They were going to get free child care, all that. He had a bill on the table. We were one vote away in the Senate from passing.
No, that's too much pro-life. That's too much pro-life.
No, I don't think so at all.
That's real pro-life.
I don't think so at all. I think that's
true. Yeah, that's true. That's the Republicans like, no, that's too much pro-life.
Joe Manchin's a Democrat.
Yeah, Joe Manchin's he's leaving office anyways.
Exactly.
He lives on. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Manchin stopped a lot of things from you progressing in life, and he lives on a yacht.
He's from West Virginia. He lives on a yacht. Well, I don't know if there's any water. That's at least no ocean water in West Virginia. There's not at all. There's hills and there's hills have eyes.
Imagine you take things away from the American people. You can't have child care, health care, nothing. See ya, I'm going to go on my yacht.
I mean, if I'm the people of West Virginia, I'd be pissed that my senator lives on a yacht. I would be, because I know they have. Let me apologize. I probably shouldn't have said hills have eyes. I probably shouldn't have said that about you guys. I'm sorry about that. You know what I mean? 'Cause that's kind of a messed up thing to say about people, because I don't know people in West Virginia. But at the same time, though, I know people in West Virginia, they have a huge fentanyl problem. I know they have other drug problems. They have their huge poverty problems. It's right next to Ohio. I was originally born in Ohio, so I can understand. That's like coal miner's daughter area, all that kind of stuff.
Well,
that's what West Virginia is.
Let's keep it a buck, bro. Most of America has a fentanyl problem, and we don't hear about it no more. They don't want to talk about it because it's affecting the demographic that they don't want to see in a bad light.
Yeah.
A lot of the fentanyl I think it's the number one killer in America, right behind heart disease.
I mean, it's made I think it was fentanyl has made our life expectancy go down by like a year or so. That hadn't happened in decades. We hadn't lost life expectancy in this country in decades. And that's made that happen because so many young people were dying from it. But so many young
I've known a couple people passed away from it. It's just because they put it on stuff. I know two people, they were smoking meth and it was laced with meth. Somebody said they were putting it on weed, which is weird, why they should just legalize weed around the country. But you know, John DeSantos, the mayor or the governor of Florida, he said he don't want to legalize marijuana down there because he said it smell bad and it would mess up the way the health of people down there.
And at the end of the day, I would just put it on the ballot. He'd lose that. But nothing he can do about it.
Yeah, well, you know, John DeSantos don't care.
He's gonna have to sign it in the law. I like the way you're saying it.
I don't understand how John DeSantos got elected anyways.
I don't understand how he did either. He's a racist. I mean,
he's a weirdo. This is the way he smiles. It looks like it hurts.
I didn't like the guy who ran for me. I thought he was going to be decent. The guy who originally ran.
Oh, home of the cop with the pussy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Out in the hotel room with the two bodybuilders.
Like, man, how you let him get you like this? It's
bussy
crazy.
Everywhere.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I didn't like the fact that DeSantis has said. So you got me saying DeSantis.
No, it's John DeSantos. That's how it's. He don't respect me. I don't respect him either.
DeSantis is he said no more monkeying around. Like this is what he said to the guy during their debate that happened. You know, and like he knew what he was doing. That's a dog whistle. He knew exactly what he was saying. That's why I don't respect him at all. He'll never be anything but basically a Florida governor. That's pretty much what he's going to be.
Every time he smiles, it looks like he's trying to hold back crying tears.
Yeah, he's horrible. He's so stiff, man. Dudes are horrible. I mean, in Florida, they like that.
You know what's crazy? People don't realize all those people you pick on in high school and junior high, and that you won't let hang out with you and be no friends. They become politicians, and they come to ruin your life. That's just what it is. Think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In Iran, a popular rapper, his name Tumaj Salehi, was sentenced to death for supporting a uprising in 2022. In Iran, a court has sentenced hip hop artist Tumaj Salehi to death for supporting the 2022 popular uprising in his songs. Salehi, who is already serving a 6 years jail sentence, is appealing the ruling. I'm like,
well, damn, I guess he's really about to be spitting bars.
You're stupid, bro. hey, that's one thing we can say about, at least in our country, we don't have to deal with that. That's a pretty solid thing. But man,
for the moment,
all he did was, for the moment, man, we're really getting to that.
For the moment, the way they beating up these kids at the colleges over protesting, like that's freedom of speech. You know this and listen.
You heard what Johnson said. Enjoy your freedom of speech while you have it. He said that. He's like kind of went off and like while you have kind of this dude.
Think about it, like. And think about it, this man's arrested for rapping about an uprising. Imagine you post it on a social media site. Imagine you say it at work or in a restaurant, someone overhears you, and then they send some kind of SS group to come and arrest you and take you down. Like, we're not too far away from this. And that's the crazy part. It's like I said, are we America or are we Israel? Let me know. I say enough stuff all the time. They'd have been killed me a long time ago. As much stuff as I put on, like I'm trying to tell you, because I say stuff all the time. I mean, we speak out all the time. It's part of the rights that we have, but we're letting these rights be eroded, and we're not saying anything about them at all. We're not even stepping up to the plate. We're not giving our opinions. We're fighting amongst each other so bad. I feel like a lot of people feel like these kids shouldn't say anything at these schools. I think older people, same people who probably in the 70s. We're the ones at their schools doing this stuff. And that's the whole thing. It's like you should have a right to protest. If you like Donald Trump and you're upset about his ruling or anything going on, you have a right to stand outside of there and protest against what's going on. If you don't like Joe Biden, you have a right to go protest in front of his motherfucking house. Hey, you know what? I'm not even going to excuse my language. It's America. I got my freedom. Oh, yeah, exactly. I love my freedom. And I ain't going to let nobody take it from me. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? What you say, cold, dead hands. But this is how I look at it like this. Because once they come take your freedom, know what's coming next? Your guns. They're going to come take your guns. They're taking the guns before they take your freedom. They're taking your guns first. They going to come get your gun. And now you all been sitting here worried like, oh, man, the Democrats going to come get my guns. And the way that they looking at, they're leaning towards Israel, looks like Democrats and Republicans, senators and congressmen, they're going to work together to come get your guns. They were the ones sitting up there at Columbia University. Together. You really kind of almost have to look at it like this. I'm not going to debate with anyone about the right to protest because I look at what happened on January 6th. I will not debate with you about whether you love America, the flag, anything. I'm not ever debating with you guys about who loves America and who don't. You already showed me. You already told me. Your side. You already lined up with them. That debate is finished forever for me. That's all I gotta do is bring that up forever. Okay, so I'm not debating with you about you shouldn't be allowed to protest. Were you protesting? The fuck did you say anything about? I remember the person climbing the building on January 6th, and they climbed the building, took the American flag, threw it on the ground, and put the Trump flag up.
I seen them beating the police with the American flag.
Yeah,
I seen it. Everyone saw this.
Hey, that's hold on. You can beat the police with the American flag.
Beat the police with the American.
That's a law somewhere, isn't it? Let us know what y'all think, everybody. Like, listen, subscribe, share.
Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe.
Yeah,
Uncommon Courtesy.